where it wasn't ever that.
Yeah, but I think it just feels like we just have so much to see now as far as like if you have a conspiracy theory on sports, like there's enough of it happening on either side where you go, oh yeah, that's believable. I don't know. I've always being a Boston fan in the 80s and 90s, you're just happy where somebody's talking about us, right? I mean, the fact that we've won, okay, it feels weird. I've had this conversation so many times. It feels weird. I'm glad now that we are like this is the most exciting last 2 seasons, 3 seasons where it's just like, oh, we everything counts, every play counts, everything counts to someone else's life but mine. But like it keeps me hopeful, it keeps me paying attention. But at the end of the day, it's like I understand that I have zero control over everything, whether it be the narrative, the plays, the play calling, all that. So I just sit there and enjoy it like a movie.
I'm still hurted. I'm still very deeply hurted.
With it. That's why I'm mad with it. With it. With it. That's why I'm mad with it.
That's where you're at with it, huh?
Whatever you want, whatever you need, it's on tab. Get it. That's why I'm mad with it.
I'm not even mad with it.
That's why I'm mad with it. That's where I'm at. Okay, you chasing clout? Oh no way, your shit turn.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the I'ma Get in Trouble podcast. I'm 1/3 of the host here. It's your boy Terrance G. I got my guy Loy Lee. He's over here. Eddie maybe popping in and out. He's got some things going on. If you check this out in the cold open, man, we're dealing with my open heartache. Okay, I've never been shy about who I root for, but I think after last night, I'm retiring the level of fandom that I had previously for my own good, for my own mental health and emotional escape. I've got to do it.
There's only so many hours in the day, and you can only think so many thoughts within those days. You can only pay attention to so much for so long. And what comes down to it, and something I learned at a very young age, is like you have zero control over all of it. Like you have no control over any aspect of anything that goes on in sports. You sit down, you drink your beer, you watch the fucking plays, and you enjoy it either way, win or lose. And you could probably say, well, Loy, you're a Patriots fan, you're a Red Sox fan. Yes, you're right. But you still have zero.
Yeah, that does kind of make you like a bit of a sellout whore that like we can't really be on that same level of conversation because you don't know this level of heartache that I've got. But
I grew up in Boston in the 80s. So until the team that beats your team, demolishes your team in the Super Bowl, comes out with a rap song that you have to listen through for the whole summer of your 6-year-old self has to listen to the Super Bowl shuffle, I don't want to hear it.
It's definitely it's hard times out here in these streets. No, it's in all seriousness, man. Like I definitely know that I was at that level of like I was a fanatic. Mm-hmm. And it's just been over the last couple of years I've been trying to slowly taper that off because I don't want to be a fanatic. I don't want to be that guy that's 40, 50, 60 years old screaming his head off at like 20 and 30 years old like it really matters.
I mean, I don't want to be the guy. I saw myself one time be the guy at the bar, inconsolable, like the guy that just like everyone's like, ooh, yikes, like stay away from that side of the bar. You don't want to be that guy ever.
Yeah, man, that's the thing, right? Like it like I said in my posts, everybody's like, oh, he's salty. It's like, I'm not salty. I do think it is rigged. I've been saying that shit for a while. But I also got like the storylines that I think that kind of align with that shit, right? Too. But on top of that, I'm not salty. I'm just at a point where I had the epiphany, I guess, where it's like I'm done getting to that level. I'm not going to keep staying on that same level of. See, I knew BDB was going to come in here saying some shit, and I'm just saying I'm done getting my fandom to that level. Like
right.
I can't keep just gluing myself to that television and then having a fucking conniption fit when stuff just doesn't go right.
I grew up in the 80s. I watched a lot of professional wrestling. And as a child, you watch professional wrestling and you realize you have no control over it because it's already written, right? You just got to enjoy the game of it and just Hope
It's like
your guy.
It's scripted.
It's scripted.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm gonna go on my deathbed like on this hill. Like I've started to realize that I'm gonna have to take up this mantra of salty Chiefs fan to really drive the point home. But I'm pretty damn positive this shit is rigged now.
But you guys won a championship. You guys
I think we
signed your
benefited from it. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay. Tell me. So you think that Patty Mahomes winning a Super Bowl was part of the plan?
I do. So here's how we'll scale it back, right? So think of the storylines, right? The NFL loves their storylines.
Yes.
What's more recent if you sit here and think about the storylines? We can go back and talk about Peyton Manning and his retirement. What happened towards the tail end of his career, right?
Yeah. Yep.
He gets smashed by Seattle in the one Super Bowl. It was laughable. I was on my way to the Bahamas. We didn't even pay attention to it, right?
The Bahamas or the Super Bowl?
On my way to the Bahamas. On my way to the Bahamas, didn't even pay attention to the Super Bowl. It was man, it was crazy. Like normally you would watch stuff like that, but it just was what it was.
So why is Mahomes not the storyline anymore? I mean, how can you say that the Rams, Cincinnati, the Bengals, Rams, Super Bowl, how is that anyone's storyline?
I'm giving context real quick, right?
Okay.
So we talk about Peyton Manning. He gets smashed. He comes back and wins the one Super Bowl, rides off into the sunset. It was a perfect story. He was scorned by his previous franchise, goes off to the next one to take them to greatness. He's dueling with Tom Brady as one of the greats, but he isn't quite there. Oh, let's give him another Super Bowl, right off into the sunset. When we know good and hell well, Peyton Manning wasn't playing at that type of quality level to win. That's number one. You go to the next season or within that same time frame, Ray Lewis, the fucking hero of Baltimore that may or may not have murdered somebody, right? Send him off on his
He didn't murder
last
anybody.
season.
He covered it up.
I'm just saying. He may or may not know something. Right. He's getting sent off into the sunset with another championship. Then you think about Kansas City. It absolutely was something I thought about. 50-year title drought. How fucking crazy was it that we won on our 50-year title drought that the media had hyped up? I'm not sitting here saying that like we didn't benefit from it. I've been saying that shit too. So then you fast forward to TV.
Wait. So you think that the biggest storyline that got Patty Mahomes, like if it was a storyline driven championship, it was like, you guys haven't won anything in 50 years. So that's the storyline? You couldn't come up with a better storyline?
Oh, that's a hell of a storyline, man. Like, especially if you consider the factors of that year. Anyways, the Packers were a perennial contender. I won't say favorite, but a contender, close to a favorite that year specifically. Everybody was talking about the rematch that it would have been, Kansas City versus Green Bay, all of that stuff. So absolutely it was one of those storylines. Then you fast forward to last season when Kansas City went to the game again and loses to Tampa Bay. They lose to Tampa Bay, they lose to Tom Brady. What was the storyline last season?
Okay, so the question I ask
is all time. Yeah. Splits from his mentor. Can he do it? Oh, he does. Here we go.
So do you think that was supposed to be Tom Brady riding off to the sunset and Tom Brady goes, nah, let's run this shit back?
I think so.
And then they go, oh, you want to run this back? Take a seat.
Probably. And then because now you look at it, now you fast forward to present day. They've been talking about it since Joe Burrow has been as good as Joe Burrow has been. I'm not going to knock that. And especially with his newfound connection with Jamar Chase. They've got a quarterback, but they also now have a storyline. 31-year championship drought with another good team that they like. Come on.
Do you think that like he's basically taking on the Patty Mahomes storyline? Is that what's going on?
I think it's a very real potential, man, because at the end of the day, man, they want to tell us that they're what do they say they give us, right?
Entertainment.
They're giving us football, right? But there's a real subtle fucking difference in there is they're giving us the business of football.
15 yards for giving them the business.
Business of football.
So I guess the question I ask is this. Does Stafford win? And then
in all seriousness, I think now that I've looked at it this way, because somebody's like, well, Cincinnati wins. I don't think Cincinnati wins this year despite their 31-year championship drought because I think they like Joe Burrow. They'll let him keep going, whatever. I think the whole thing is going to be get it to L.A. as they're trying to build an L.A. fan base for the Rams, which has struggled in the last few years up until they started to be decent.
And do you know how to build a fan base in LA? A sports fan base in LA? You win. If
You
you don't
win.
win, you nobody cares.
You also take like the Godfather of LA, right? In Dre, you do an epic halftime that appeals to all. I'm just saying, man, like, I think when people blatantly dismiss it, which I used to for a while, man, I don't know, man. I think there's too much suspect shit to make me say that it
Where,
couldn't be rigged.
where's the Super Bowl going to be?
Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium.
Interesting. So never ever have we ever had a team go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl at home, and then there's a possibility that happens twice in 2 years.
I was gonna say, like that, like that's all I'm saying, man. Is with that all of that evidence taken in mind over the years, I'm saying it's now impossible for me to not think that the well is poisoned somewhat. So I'm saying that to say now it gave me that pass to look at it for what it is and be like, hey, look, I just think the shit's rigged. Like, I knew I was going to catch all the salty shit. That's fine. But at least you motherfuckers can admit that I'm backing this shit up with facts and I'm backing it up with timelines because this shit's real.
You know what's rigged? I'll tell you
I felt
what's
this way
rigged.
for a while.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you what's rigged. Right now, what is rigged is the entire Cincinnati fan base. And 97% of the Rams fan base. If you are under the age of 77 and you are a Rams fan,
No doubt. Like, it was so bad. Like, do people forget that maybe 4 years ago they were fucking giving away free tickets to their stadium because they couldn't get people to attend either the Chargers or the Rams? So they ended up packing out one of the Monday night games with local firefighters and police because they gave it at a fat discount.
And that was the year that they were playing in the Coliseum, which is the USC college football stadium, and it's not that big. It's not like it's not big. 50,000. I want to say 50,000. Like, it's not. Is that a lot of people? That's
you misspelled bullshit, Dwayne.
Anyways, I'm saying that I can't agree with you that it's rigged, but
I know most people won't.
It doesn't matter. It could be. It won't make a difference. Why? Because I will watch it the same way I've always watched it, and I will never ever believe that because I'm wearing a Lucky jersey or Lucky underwear or Lucky something sitting in the bar that that's going to have any effect on my team winning anything.
That's the beauty of this. That's the culmination of this hurtful loss that I endured. That's the beauty of it. Is I think I can finally mature and get to that point to where now I don't feel like I need to sit here and park myself in front of the television and I have to sit there married to the game for the entire 4-hour fanfare thing that it is. Like, if I got shit I got to do, I'm gonna catch it while I can. I'm gonna listen to it off in the deal, but I'm not going to be married to it like I was before. I'm just not going to do it anymore.
Yeah. And again, welcome to the team. We appreciate it. Membership's low. We got great jackets. I'm just saying, I enjoy it. Like, I don't have to go to opening weekend of a movie. I don't have to go to a concert. I don't have to go to these things. Why? Because it's going to happen. And then I get to watch that shit afterwards. And it's still going to be the same. And my effect on watching it live or not watching it live has the same outcome regardless.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man, is it's one of those deals where you just got to sit there, like, especially now that the Super Bowl is still so fresh. It's like I waited my whole life for that at that point, right? And we cross that path, we crest that mountain, and now I'm on the other side of it, and I'm like, I mean, I've been there, and that was super cool, but why am I getting my tits in a twist over this shit? Like, nah, I'm cool. Like, let me find some other shit.
My heart breaks, and this is the romantic side of me when it comes to sports. Like, I cry a little bit every time I see that like 70-year-old guy that's like watching his team win for the first time, and he's crying. I'm at home.
Definitely always gets me.
Thousands of miles away watching on TV. I'm crying. watching the St. Louis Blues. Yeah, the St. Louis Blues win a championship. I see old guys crying, makes me cry. I think everyone should experience their sports team win at least once in their life.
Yeah.
And then you got to see both the Chiefs and the Royals win. So
Yeah.
if you get your team to win multiple championships or multiple championships across the different sports, I mean, shit, there's nothing like it. I hope everyone gets to see it, but I'm not crying about it.
But that's the thing, right? Is at the end of the day, it literally doesn't affect my life, and that's why I can't get.
No.
Yeah, and it shouldn't.
Wait. For some people, it does affect their life.
Doesn't.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't. And that's the thing, is like it was that final culmination of, yep, I'm not gonna keep doing this shit. So
Yeah,
I'm fucking over it. But
I will say I do use the Patriots playing as like a fulcrum of, I can't show up. The Pats got the game at 3:00. I gotta do the the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like I'll still watch, I'll still be a fan, and I'll still check in. But like, even over the last couple of years, like my interest in fantasy football, I could literally give a fuck, care less, because of how much you got to pay attention and stay plugged in, and literally just take away from the enjoyment of the game. I stopped following free agency news and draft fucking picks and whatever, because it just, at the end of the day, half of it's going to pan out, the other half ain't. What does it matter?
If you're lucky, half
Right.
of it pans out. If you're lucky, 50% is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But
so no, I'm not going to wrap up into it.
I hadn't played fantasy football in like 6 years, and there is something amazing about it where you just watch one game a week. For 16 weeks, you watch. For 17 weeks, you watch 16 games. That's it. There's a beauty to it. You don't have to worry about anything else. And being a Patriots fan, I haven't seen a draft since I was 21, because it doesn't matter. Why? Because the Patriots will draft some guy with the only video of him is like a shaky cell phone video from the stands, and he becomes fucking Jimmy Garoppolo or Julian Edelman.
That's the kind of fan I want to be, right? Like, I want to be able to enjoy myself so much that I'm okay getting super fucking hammered in the nosebleeds and getting my pee sucked like somewhere like underneath one of the chairs and stools that, like, you've seen viral videos of like Bill's Mafia. It's happened at the Skins Stadium before too. Like, all that stuff. Like, those guys are fans, right?
That's the only person
clearly
scoring.
Don't give a shit about football enough to where like they got to stay plugged into the whole game.
Yeah.
See, I'm that guy that's like, oh, this feels nice and all, but bitch, you better catch that ball. Like, I'm trying to get now to that point where, hey, no, this is an excellent blowjob right here in the middle of the stadium. Let's have a great time.
Like I said, during that season, he was the only one scoring in the stadium. I used to be that fan, not the fan, just watch the game and all of the. I thought that I could change it, but it was like, you paid so much money to get the tickets, and then you realize, like, okay, you pay $100 for a ticket, that's $200 for 2 tickets, and then you got to pay $30-$40 for parking, and then it's $20 a beer. You pay all this money to show up in the third inning, to show up like after the kickoff. I would be angry at that. Why? Because I just didn't. I don't know. I don't have the words, but it would make me so angry to see people just going, "Hey, what's going on?"
Yeah,
and leaving before the end of the game. Who does that?
I mean, to be fair, there are 162 fucking games though. Like, that's a shitload of fucking games. When you literally have 4 a week.
I love baseball because there's no time limit. You tell the wife, I'm going to go watch the baseball game at the bar. She doesn't know when you're going to be back. Nobody knows when you're going to be back. And for 6 months out of the year, there's not a single day without baseball.
So for anybody out there in audio land, one of our homies says, who cares about the kickoff? To that, I would say white people care about the kickoff because they just want to make sure black folks ain't kneeling right beforehand.
Now, I think it's so strict. Like, okay, Dwayne, let me address that. Who really cares about kickoff? I don't know, but who is just going to spend all of that money to not, like, do you show up to a movie late?
Well, insert joke here.
You're right. Less time to yell at the screen.
I'm saying he's a comic, everybody. All right. Don't make this a racial thing.
I'm just saying. I never got it. People like, oh, you're not a real fan. And I think that's where I drew the line. It's like, oh, you're not a real fan. You're just here because your job gave you the tickets and you're just like, you got nothing better to do. Well, show up. You have 181 games a year to show up at home. Show the fuck up.
Dude. Yeah, it's good, man. So
Okay.
I'm over it. We can move on to the next one, man. Since we're in that realm of
He
like,
is so over it.
I am. My butt still hurts. We'll move on to like the next level of fandom, and we're gonna kind of segue that into the guy that has a huge fan base, a massive platform, and is kind of getting it from all angles. One of the people here we talk about, Joe Rogan, man, catching a lot of controversy over misinformation on his platform.
So Joe Rogan, great podcast. I mean, up until the pandemic, I literally watched every episode we could have that conversation. But apparently, since the pandemic's happened, he's brought a lot of people on, and they're talking about their ideas and thoughts, and maybe not the best time or place to have just a hypothetical conversation on what you think medical stuff should work. And a lot of artists like Joni Mitchell, who else? Neil Young were like, oh, okay, if Joe Rogan is on Spotify, take my shit off of Spotify. And I think that's the best way to protest.
I think it's dumb as shit. And here's why. How many people
just shitted on me?
I did. I did unintentionally. No, kind of intentionally. No, but not to shit on you, but to shit on Neil Young. Here's why I think Neil Young's deal is stupid. Nobody fucking knows who Neil Young is. Like, when they said Neil Young, I'm sitting here like, I was like, oh, that name sounds familiar. And then I was like, oh, I was thinking of Neil Diamond. Like, I don't know anything about this dude. Even when people said a song from this guy, I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting here thinking, in my dumb brain, I would imagine most people that listen to Neil Young probably don't have a Spotify account. They're probably scratching that fucking vinyl as they put on, I think it's Wheel in the Sky Keeps on Turning or some shit. Or I don't know, something that somebody said. I don't fucking, I literally know nothing about Neil Young.
I'm not going to lie to you. I know who Neil Young is, but I don't know if I can pick out any of it.
Exactly.
But that's not the point. The point is this, right? Your ability to state what you want, like that's how democracy works, right? That's how capitalism works. You just sit there and go, well, I don't agree with it. I'm not going to argue your point. I'm just going to go, well, fuck you. I'm going to protest it. You want my shit? Then fucking it's got to go somewhere else than Spotify. Maybe his 4 people that listen to him go somewhere else. I don't know. But I mean, how else are you going to protest?
That's the thing, right? Like, to me, this just screams like your typical today's culture of saying you did something while literally doing the absolute bare fucking minimum. There's no way Neil Young didn't look at this and say, okay, they literally just jumped into a massive 9-digit figure deal with this dude, knowing the type of dude that he is and the type of conversations that he fosters and houses. They sign him to this to say, do this, and we're going to let you have free reign. There's no possible way Neil Young didn't know that Spotify was going to be like, sorry. So in my mind, I'm sitting here thinking like Neil Young just did this for internet clout.
Sure, there's that. Or maybe he was looking at his Spotify checks and seeing the $17 and just being like, you know what? Time to make a change for once in my life. The different person. But
I feel like but he'd be smarter to take that $17 and donate it to, like, I don't know, a CDC information campaign, right? Like something, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, I feel like in general, a lot of people do this shit so dumb.
How would you do it? You're Neil Young. How would you do it?
If I'm Neil Young and I'm taking a personal issue with Joe Rogan, man, I am going to personally speak to. I'm going to ask to go on his podcast. like or have a person-to-person conversation that doesn't need to be the podcast, but if it goes with a podcast, we can talk about it, right? I'm not sitting here doing this nonsense, especially because at the end of the day, we're talking about a dude that, for all his faults, admits, like, I don't have any qualifications. I simply own a podcast, and I have people that are
Conversations.
experts in these fields that have controversial opinions.
Also, I would say that if I was Neil Young, let's say I'm at that level of Neil Young, right? I don't think I'd want to go on the podcast. Why? Because I don't have to know how things work to know, like, that's probably not the best, like, that is probably not the best information you're putting out there. I'm not going to go out there and then go, hey, you know what? That's a bad idea that you're saying these things. Why? Why is it a bad idea? Because it's wrong? We'll prove it. Well, fuck me. And then everyone goes, Neil Young doesn't know anything, so everything on Joe Rogan is right. I wouldn't want to put myself in that situation.
Yeah, but see, that's what I think. That's why I think that people putting stock in the podcast like this and then demanding its removal don't stop and think about that for a moment and think about what the podcast is. It's literally a discussion. Like you and I sitting here having the discussion. Half the time we don't know what the fuck we're going to say before we say it. It just ends up coming out because it's part of the conversation.
Right,
We just drive it a certain way. And so none of the ideas are fleshed out to that a certain level,
when
right?
you look at the numbers, right, and forget the
Mhm.
money, when you look at the numbers, you go, oh, millions and millions and millions of views, cumulatively, individually, all of those things, and you go, I mean, shouldn't we be responsible and have an idea of something? Like, doesn't it behoove everyone, our fan base, to, like, not just make up crazy stories?
I think that you've identified that fuzzy ass line, but that's the problem, right? It's super duper fuzzy. Like I think of this, right? Like I have no real misconceptions that we'll get to a Joe Rogan level with this, right? Like we'll get to a level of success and drive this and continue to have fun with it, like and this will continue to be the vehicle that it is. But I don't foresee us getting $120 million from Spotify to have these conversations anytime soon, right?
What's the number? Let's say we get approached by anyone. Let's say we have a cumulative 1 million views. I don't know what the number is, but at some point you just go like, hey, maybe we should, I don't know, sit down and write some of this shit out. Maybe we should get an editor.
In my opinion, right? It's the same thing that we built to get to this point is the same thing that keeps the steam engine moving, right? It's our chemistry between you, me, and Eddie that makes this thing tick to the level of success that we've had, which is pretty decent level of success, right? With a little, what up, everybody? It's a decent little bit of success, and it's slowly growing as we continue to be consistent at it and everything. But I don't want somebody going through backlogs worth of hours. Like we're in the position to where we have fucking day jobs, right? We have day jobs because we're not that level of success with comedy and other shit at this point yet, right? We don't have time to sit there and talk for 4, 5, 6 hours because shit gets out of hand. But if we had time, I bet we could make time. I would take issue with anybody sitting here being like, oh, well, them and their conversation, that's where I put stock in. And that's what I'll finish off my point to say that that's the biggest bit of funny, irony, hypocrisy, stupidity, whatever, is that American mainstream news outlets are the ones calling about Joe Rogan and his platform and misinformation.
Well, also, I think that there's got to be some jealousy from old school, new school, right? The news outlets, they have producers. And I don't mean like the guy pressing the buttons, turning the lights on, making sure that shit gets uploaded. Like actual, like, no, you can't say this. You have to say this. Don't forget the ads. 30 seconds ad, and you're on 5, 4, 3, 2. They get stuck into this.
Everything's sensationalized. Yeah. It's hyperbolic now. Like it's hyper partisan in a lot of things. So that's where I'm like, really? CNN? Really? MSNBC? Y'all want to be like, oh, misinformation, Joe?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, I don't know what it's like to be in a newsroom, right? I see shows and I have an idea that assuming that if 1% of that is right, I'm sure these guys go, I can't believe I'm reading another cat story. Okay, and 5. Hey, another cat story.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're fucking tired of it. And they get to see Joe Rogan smoke, drink, fucking start late, whatever, and just go, oh, you guys just talk about whatever you want. And then he's getting paid more than me. You know, like he doesn't have any bounds. I'd be jealous too.
Yeah.
And on top of that, if I was a news company, broadcasting company, I'd be like, wait, these guys literally just sit in a room. They don't have to pay for ads. They don't.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It definitely gets dicey because I'm with you in a theoretical context of at some point the machine becomes big enough and is influential enough to where a level of monitoring is probably necessary, if not wise, whatever. I just don't know what that line is, man, because at some point, at no point in any of this, despite my curiosity, because I'm a curious motherfucker, right? Like I'm very interested in people's perspectives and weird alien shit and extraterrestrial shit and space travel, but I'm also super interested in football and UFC and things like that. I don't want somebody to sit there and be like, oh, well, he said this, and so what the fuck are you doing talking about this? Like I'm doing the same thing y'all are doing, just streaming. Like I'm having the same conversations y'all have. I'm just streaming.
Right.
I'm just in a position where I'm fortunate enough to be able to reach high profile people like that, like the motherfucker that wrote that book. I want to be able to talk to him. And now I've grown this enough to where I can fucking talk to this guy.
I think that I don't know where the line is, but like when we just have enough money, like the podcast is making enough money where like, I don't know, just stacking it with the rest of the money. Like, hey, maybe we should just hire a PR firm, not to tell us what to do, but be like, give us guidelines, like in the background, like don't talk about that. Like, oh, maybe we should switch the subject. That's where I would draw the line. I would draw the line being like, can we afford to hire some babysitters?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I definitely could see that in the theoretical context. I just in execution, I just don't know how well that works, because then you start to basically do everything that everybody else is doing, and that's not even really what I'm interested in, right? Like I love the aspect of whenever we have conversations, even if it gets difficult, we still can find ways to navigate through them respectfully. Sometimes, like one or more of us has bowed out, not like, oh, I bounced out of the screen or any of that, but like just sat here and like I'm just in ingest mode, right? I'm taking it all in. And so I would never want to take that away just because somebody takes the shit more seriously than they should.
Yeah. Well, it's like I will agree with you on that. Like, it is difficult to watch the ESPN sports shows when you know they're just going like, okay, you're for it, you're against it, you're playing devil's advocate. And the next topic, you're for it, against it, devil's advocate. You could tell they're just saying stuff.
That's why this shit pops off, though, right? Like that's why podcasts are becoming popular, because I think the general populace has become wildly disenfranchised with the extremes that they are. And it's funny that you bring up sports, because sports is the little one that doesn't fucking matter, but that's happening on CNN and Fox News and every other major fucking media outlet we have, right? And so they take they basically just lob shit back and forth. CNN talks about Fox talks about CNN. That's what created, I think, this hunger for this level of consumption, right? Because it's honest. You can tell that it's bullshit.
And I think that I mean, at least with us, I enjoy playing devil's advocate, because it's like, oh, you're talking about something that I don't care. I know very little about. Let me go off of what you're saying, and let me just, because I know what fucking pisses you off. So I'm gonna poke it fraud just a little bit.
Oh, dude, that's like the best part about it. If you can't piss off somebody a little bit that you know when you're like discussing.
And none of us are like, wow, hey, welcome back.
Dude. That's how I learn about shit, man. Is like playing devil's advocate and taking up stances that I don't necessarily agree with, but I try to defend them so I can see where there's holes at in that shit and be like, oh yeah, well, that's a fucking dumb thing to think. Cool.
That's how I learn. Yeah, that's how I learn everything. I'm like, oh, this doesn't make sense. Why is it this way? I don't know. What would you do?
Yep.
Okay, what else we got? Joe Rogan. I mean, he'll be okay. He did an apology, but kind of like, I don't know. Maybe we'll try to do better.
Yeah. So I watched a couple of clips of it. He was saying one of the things he said I appreciated was he was like, I never expected it to get to be this big and be what it is. And he's like, I have a hard time with it. And so I can sympathize, man. I think that shit's super, he at least seemed like he's going to try and take steps to not have just such controversial opinions, but also have somebody with a
But
more mainstream style
it,
opinion that's
it
also there.
I mean, since I don't want to say I've been watching the Joe Rogan Experience since the beginning, but I could tell you I was watching it when I first started comedy, so 10 years ago. And I will
Yep.
say, like, up until 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it was basically based out of his house or like in a little office building somewhere in the valley. But he always brought his friends in or people that he's like, oh, like you said, the author that wrote the book that I read that I'm curious about. Let's bring him in.
Yep.
I can understand why he's looking up now, kind of poking his head out of the sand and just be like, oh, this guy, this kind of got out of hand. And I feel like that's how that works. Think about being from free to $100 million contract. You went from free to $100 million contract in less than 10 years. Could you handle it? No, because you're out here just trying to hold on and make it make sense, show up every day, do the work.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyways,
And that's where it's like, I just can't buy the amount of flack the dude gets. It seems like another one of those things where people love to hate, but hey,
I will say though, talking about Joe Rogan has created income. People talking about Joe Rogan, write an article. Oh my God, he said this, he said that, and that's it. That is the article. Joe Rogan was on his podcast that said this, and that is a blog post, and they're making money off of that. Yep. Dave Chappelle, same thing. Dave Chappelle said this, people said that. This was some of the things in his Instagram post.
Yep.
Money.
That name sells, man. So
strange.
Speaking of names that sell, man, let's move on to the other news that we got here. Congratulations out there. Nick Cannon confirmed the 8th child is on the way. Eight. You heard that right. And
El Ocho.
5 months after the passing of his one son, may he R.I.P. I couldn't fucking imagine being in that whole thing, like unfathomably terrible, like some weird infant disease or something like that. I don't remember the details. It was terribly fucking sad. But 5 months after, he's got 8th kid on the way. So congratulations. But my guy, the fuck.
I mean, I don't know. Just having one kid from one baby mama that you're not with, right? That's like, oh, you're not dating her, but she's pregnant with your kid. You're like, oh, that's okay. And then you're like 2, and then 3, and then 4. Like, I don't think he's had more than one kid with one woman, right? Like all of his children will be from different women.
Most, like, he's definitely got a plethora of women. Yes.
Just the schedule. Don't think about like now, but think about like when they all are the same age and they all go to a soccer practice. Like, how does that even remotely make sense on a scheduling standpoint?
It's clear that he's focused more on the wilding part and less on the out, because that motherfucker does not.
It's not out.
Like, it is not out at all. It's just all wilding. Like, this dude is on 8 kids. I remember somebody had posted something when his 7th kid was born. I feel like it was around that time. Maybe it was 6th child. But he was saying he was looking for like 11 to 15 kids because he was going to have something about his legacy. And it's like, bro,
that's a lot of legacy.
At like 3 kids and your millions of dollars, you were set. Like, you didn't need to keep going.
That's right.
Here.
That's right. He has twins from Mariah.
I was gonna say he has Mariah,
and then he's got half a dozen kids from Instagram.
Yep.
I mean, like, how does that even work? Like, oh, it's your weekend. It's always my weekend. Every weekend is my weekend with somebody.
I just want to know how that shit works, like at their level, like at our level of human interaction. It's a wild fucking guessing game, and it really is a wild landscape. Meaning that there's predators and prey out there, and there's diseases. They got enough money where they could just be like, "Hey, bitch, get poked right now, and let's check. Okay, we're good. Yeah, like that alone, man. Like if this dude's going in raw to just shoot up every girl's club like that, like is he fucking doing DNA tests, or he just saying fuck it, man? Like,
I mean,
I'm saying, man, because you know at our level, like that's like we meet girls, it's just different. Like we got to kind of take their word for it because we can't financially sit here and be like, no, I want you to get an AIDS test and a herpes test and a syphilis test and check your background, whatever, right?
Before our date on Friday.
Exactly. These dudes got enough money and clearly enough willpower to just blow it all up and blow babies and everybody.
Maybe there's like an agency out there that like handles party fulfillment where these celebrities go to parties or celebrity go to parties, and then they know that all of the women there have been tested by this agency, because if you're not famous, that means you're part of the agency.
It's got to be something like that. It's got to be like some sort of like celebrity Tinder sort of thing where it's like, hey, are you looking to just be a fuck date? Swipe this way. Are you looking to be a potential baby mama? Here's who you match with. And
Which is
then if you're
all
approved,
of them. No LA 10 is like just trying to be a fuck buddy. All LA 10s are like, how do I monetize this right now?
But the celebrity gets to be like, here, you're in the fuck pile, you're in the potential baby mama pile.
Yeah.
And that's when the girl gets to be like, oh, he only wants to fuck me. Okay.
Fuck buddies in LA are the 8s. Are the 7 and 8s are the fuck buddies, right? The 9s and 10s are like, we have to make money. We have to secure the future for our children right now.
They're the ones that's getting the Lakers, the Clippers, maybe on a good day going up north and catching the Sacramento King or something like that. But
maybe the Rams.
They're not going to be working for life like the rest of us fucking schlubs. It's just
right.
They're going to get skeeted in. They're going to work for about a month of the 9 months of gestation. That's it.
That's 4 minutes. They're working for 4 minutes. That's about it, sir. That's about it.
I just can't fucking imagine like 8 kids, dude. Like,
you know what I can't imagine? Like, okay, I can understand like fucking randoms, right? She's a 10. That's dope. I don't have to know her history. I don't have to ask. I just, at this point, I am not the first. I'm probably not going to be the last. But you know who is pregnant right now with another celebrity? Rihanna.
Ooh, Riri.
I believe Riri is pregnant with I believe it's ASAP Rocky's kid.
Yeah, I'd seen that, man.
I'm pretty sure if you go through ASAP Rocky's Instagram, you can see everywhere else he's been. Like, that is crazy. And I thought that you know exactly where Rihanna's been too. Fuck that. Drake. Could you imagine just being ASAP Rocky and having Drake show up at your door all the time, or Chris Brown within 300 yards?
Yeah, I was about to say he's not allowed, and it makes you wonder if Drake put hot sauce in his condoms with Riri. Maybe that's why she didn't get pregnant with his deal. Rihanna, man, I'm so thrown off by Rihanna because she's been around for so freaking long. It's like it's off-putting. Like she's been making music since
16.
I was in high school.
2003-ish? 4-ish?
Yeah. So tail end of high school to me, roughly around that time. And she's been making music since then. ASAP Rocky just came out, and maybe it's because of his recency. I'm feeling like this dude is young. But I'm like, is this winch over here robbing the cradle? I have no idea. But
he likes bad bitches, and that's his fucking problem.
It's definitely a fucking problem.
But I mean, ASAP Rocky, let's see how old he is. ASAP Rocky is,
I feel like
33 years old.
All right, so he's not as bad as I thought, man. I'd have figured he's like a young Thundercat, but
I mean, Oh, they're both the same age. They are both the same age.
She's 33?
Yeah.
Dude, I get that. I guess that makes sense because she came out with Chris Brown around that time. He was 15, 16 when he came out.
But she came out a few years before him. So she's a few years. I think Chris Brown must be like 30. I bet you Chris Brown's 30.
Yeah, I forgot about that fact that he had come out when he was
Oh,
a teen. So,
only 1 year difference.
hmm,
He's a year younger. Huh. We are getting so old. That was a
dude,
hard time. Dude, okay, not to bring it back to sports. It has nothing, not really sports related. But for whatever reason, I'm watching the game and I'm watching these guys drop passes and run wrong routes or whatever. But I'm like, oh, this dude is like 26. Like it's my age. The only person that is older or my age in the NFL is Tom Brady. Tom Brady's like a year or two older than I am. There's not a basketball player my age. There's not a baseball player my age.
dude. Like I was sitting there thinking about Ben Roethlisberger and Aaron Rodgers are prime examples because they just fucking retired.
Yep.
They're 38. They're only
Yep.
a couple of years older than me, and it's like
Yep.
I feel like I've watched them because I have. I mean, I've watched their entire career, and it's just like, oh God, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. But
it
I mean,
hits you so
so
different.
just to think like Rihanna's 33.
Yeah,
Like just that blows my mind. And Chris Brown is 32. I'm just getting old. I can't figure it's such an anomaly to me.
it's funny too because it's something that like my lady and I talked about is how many people come and go. Like if you think of artists, whether it's music, whether it's comedy, or you think of actors, you think of anything like that, how many of these people, or even in sports, how many of these people come and go? And there'll be flashes in the pan to where they're all over everything. Think of movies, right? Ava Mendez is somebody you think of. She was an it girl, couldn't not be casted in movies, was in everything from like
Yep.
Other Guys to Hitch
Everything.
to Training Day to all kinds of stuff. She was an it girl. You think of, I mean, the list goes on. Like I said, and it goes into sports, and it's fucking nuts. And that's how you kind of start to look at life, even because then you look at athletes that you grew up watching and
Oof.
actors that you grew up
Oof.
watching, and they start to get old and die, and then they're dying at young ages, and they're only a few years older than you, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And
Yep.
so,
Yep. I mean, Bob Saget passed.
yeah,
We see the Betty White, 99, almost 100 years old. That's amazing. But then you see like Bob Saget. He died at what, 60?
65, 64.
65? Yeah, like, and then I don't know. It's Bob Saget. It fucking blows my mind. And Louis Anderson just died. And you
Yep.
sit there and go like Louis, Bob Saget, like everyone from the 90s. Everyone that was famous in the 90s is now dying.
Like Louis had a cartoon and shit, right? Like
Mhm.
when I was a kid, and so it's all those little things, and it's just funny how as you age, those little things become markers for how you age. You don't even give a shit about birthdays anymore, right? Like
Right.
birthdays are dead to me. Like I give a shit about people I like's birthday, like my ladies and such. Like I'll get up for that, but mine, I don't give a damn. Like leave me alone. Maybe if there's something cool going on, we can go do that. Now I'm just like, oh well, did you know DMX died?
Yeah.
Fuck, man, I used to rock with his album so hardcore at this point in my life. Damn.
It's almost like now that you say DMX died, like, yeah, you're right. He did. Like, that's crazy. And then I kind of forgot because in my mind, DMX is always the dog. The dog will live forever. Anyways, that got weird. Well, what else? So Rihanna, ASAP Rocky, congratulations. Nick Cannon, congratulations for the umpteenth time. What else we got for topics?
I mean, we were talking about Tom Brady being potentially retired. That was it. But
Who? So, did you hear this? Like, did you hear like he actually hasn't retired?
yeah, that's that weird little agent detail, right? That he came out and said. So
Was it his agent?
so the agent came out and said something along the lines of there's been speculation but the team doesn't know. And if the team doesn't know, Tom's going to be the first one to tell them. That was it.
Right. Okay. So the rumor leaked and everyone took it as fact. Tom Brady has retired. And then you go, well, I mean, not officially. And everyone's like, not at all, actually. He's not said anything.
Oh, yeah. I actually hope he doesn't retire.
Why?
So we can come back and blow up all this misinformation from these news sites. See how I'm roping this back into a previous one?
I because the storyline, the narrative, if you will, sir.
Yeah.
I look forward to Tom Brady coming back because that will be the greatest comeback of his life from retirement for 6 hours.
Seriously, how old is he? He's 45 now, right?
44.
44.
He's 44. He'll be 45 at the start of next season.
If he were to play, he'd be 45.
Yep.
That
22 years in the league.
I feel like I remember a kicker when I was young in like high school. Morton Anderson. Do you remember Morton Anderson?
Yes.
I feel like he was old when he retired, but I feel like he was still only like 40 or 42.
Yeah. Yep. And like people don't play into your 40s.
And he was a kicker.
Yeah, like Adam Vinatieri. I think Adam Vinatieri retired fairly old, like 46-ish. But yeah, it was if you weren't a kicker, you weren't playing in your 40s unless it was like 1960 something.
Yeah.
And you had a side job at like the Olive Garden.
It's honestly, man, like when you sit there and genuinely think about the fact that this dude could have fathered most of the individuals that are playing in the league right now.
Might have.
It's incomprehensible to like when you think of that level of framing it. This dude literally could be the daddy of most of the NFL.
Yeah, because if you think about it, he came into the league 2000 and 2000 and that means he played college 18 so he was 22 in 2000. That makes sense. Yeah, so he has a kid in let's say 96. Let's say he had a kid in 96. He's like 18-ish. Yeah, I could see him play. Can you imagine?
Dude.
His son is a defensive back. And his mom was like, you know your dad's Tom Brady, right? I'm gonna play defensive back. I'm gonna pick him off.
Dude, like he's 44, almost 45, and I think they say roughly that average age of the NFL player is like what, 25, 26.
Yep.
So that's just fucking unfathomable. And then you think of the sheer physical differences, right? His warm-up routines, his playing around, like what is going on? There's all the shit he has to do to just move as a 44-year-old dude to get out of bed in comparison to like his younger teammates. That's crazy, man.
I'm 41 and I haven't taken a football hit since 1994. Like, and I hurt. I'm thinking about going to the gym. I see you working out. I see you throwing around fucking heavy objects for shits and giggles. And I'm like, I could do that. I could do that again. And I go, you know what? Let me go get a big rubber band. Let me start there. Let me my workout with fucking rubber bands.
Got to do something, man. Yeah, it's even now, man. Like I feel like with the kettlebells, I'm in probably one of the best shapes I've been in my life. Like even with doing sports and everything. And I think of my warm-ups now and what they have to be in order for me to not like finish it and have my back be like to where it just, and it'll be over the dumbest shit too, is I'll just bend down to pick up like a sock off the floor and then the back's like, oh yeah, we're going to send a shooting pain right up your spine and take your air out of your lungs and cause you to scream, bitch. It's just all because you're aging, because you got a day older from yesterday. Like what?
I talk about this on stage, but it's like, and it's similar to Glenn Lawrence's bit, but it's like, yeah, every day I wake up, it's like, is it broke? Can I fix this, or is this normal? Like shoulder hurts. Like, is it broken? Can I fix it? Or this is just what I'm used to now. This is what I'm gonna. This is forever.
Well, that's a new normal.
That is the new normal.
That's the shitty part of it. Is I don't want it to be. All right, what we're not going to do is talk about some damn lipstick. Like
This
you
is white man
pervert.
lips, bro.
You just All right, we got pink lips. You pervert. All right,
You got a
You
pink
s-
face.
just staring at my supple lips like that. Cool.
Is that Kool-Aid, sir? Are we in jail?
Yeah. What is going on in here?
Okay, now that Ralph has destroyed the vibe in here, do we got anything else? Or are we done?
Hey, I was gonna say, man, we can kind of wrap on that. What you got going up, man? Tell the people what's going on in
Fucking
your neck
follow
of
my
the woods.
TikTok, everybody. I'm putting so much time and effort in my TikTok. I don't know why, but I have been, and it's Loy Lee Comedy. That's it. And if you don't want to follow my TikTok, you're like, fuck TikTok, whatever. I repost everything on my Instagram to make it look like I'm actually doing work, but I'm not. So follow me on all your social media, Loy Lee Comedy across everything. What you got, Terrance?
Man, just got a couple shows coming up. The flyers are on my IG. Like I said, more dates are popping up in more cities and kind of moving around. So I'm on all socials at Fake Terrance G. So follow me there.
Hold on, wait a second. Wait. Okay, Ralph.
See,
He's coming at me.
He's only doing this because he's not on here to face the heat.
Yep.
Because I guarantee you his lips are too fucking cracked to like make it on camera right now. Those
I had to lick my lips to make sure that
New
I'm
York
not there.
winter lips.
But I will say this. My hairline is jacked up, yes, because I'm getting old. That's happening. But I'm so pale that even if I do shave my hairline in, you can still see the stubble because my hair is so dark because I'm not going gray yet, okay? So lay off the hairline, sir. We don't talk about your weight or the fact you still have both your legs, okay? We haven't talked about that yet.
And that's where we're at with it.
With it. That's why I'm mad with it. With it. With it. That's why I'm mad with it. Straight out the trap with it. Whatever you want, whatever you need, it's on tab. Get it. That's why I'm mad with it.